everyone, and welcome to Rave and Review, where we rave about and review any and all things pop culture and anything that interests us. I'm Kaya, and you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at kaya.r.pennington. Bree?
I'm Bree, and you can follow me at BreeNevette26 on Instagram and Twitter.
And you can follow Rave and Review at rave_and_review on Twitter and Instagram. Let's get into our first topic, our first segment, Unpopular Opinions, where we rave about our sometimes unpopular and even a bit controversial opinions. Today we're talking about the idea of being too woke. I'll state here that the idea of wokeness is not a bad thing. I know you hear a lot of conservatives talk about it like it's such a bad thing, but it's not. Woke, by definition, just means you have an acute awareness of your society, especially when it comes to like social justice. However, some people will take this to the extreme, and it can be quite detrimental. So, Bree, what are your thoughts and opinions on people who are too woke?
Well, I must say that when I was in high school, I was a little woke. I was like fake woke. And it's just a phase. It was a phase in my life where I just took everything just a little too seriously. Like everything was turned into a think piece or a debate, and I feel like a lot of times I was just wrong or too close-minded. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we're talking about here. To be aware of the world around you and understand things deeper than a surface level. However, I don't think it should become someone's entire personality. Like it's one thing to be an activist and to actively be making changes in your community, but it's a whole another thing when you are talking the talk but not walking the walk. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't just, if you're like, at this point you're just acknowledging that something is wrong and you're tweeting out to Twitter, but you're not talking to the people in your community. You're talking to people in an entirely different state where you really can't make that big of a difference unless you have like an organization or something. A lot of people are just talking. You can't just talk about something and something that's bad and not do anything and chastise people for like not doing anything, but you're not doing anything yourself. So that kind of makes you a hypocrite, and that still makes you a bad person. Like just because you're aware of something doesn't mean you're a good person because you're still not doing anything about it. You're just as bad as the person that you're talking down on. That's just how I feel. And I'm about to be real honest, don't cut my head off of this, y'all, but a lot of like black woke people have an issue where their goals are to please other cultures and ethnicities. Like you'll have someone who is harping on someone to basically be a capitalist and to participate in the institution and the problems that are actively the downfall of, like, I don't want to say lesser communities, but more oppressed communities, like people of color,
marginalized,
and stuff like that, black people, our communities. Like, so like at this point you're not really like moving us forward, you're kind of going backwards, and at this point you're just creating an elite capitalist society and an oppressed group at this point. And so now you got all these rich billionaires in a black community, but there's still a whole bunch of millions of poor black people. And so at this point, you're just making an even bigger divide. You're not helping. You're making things worse. You aren't giving the community. You aren't distributing food. You aren't doing anything. And that's just how I feel. And that's just, it irritates me. And then you have the white people, or just the non-black people who are fake woke, and they like to regurgitate every single think piece that they have ever seen on TikTok and make it seem like they've been educated, like they read a book or two, but they haven't. They haven't even done a Google search, okay? They ask this random person on Twitter and be like, teach me Black Queen, my beautiful Nubian Black Queen, I love you, teach me. Like, that's them. They don't want to educate themselves. They don't teach themselves anything. They insert themselves into the communities and then try to reinforce or gatekeep something that they weren't meant to gatekeep. You know what I'm saying? Like, have you ever seen them try to like cancel someone on Twitter for doing a thing, and it's just like it's not cancelable? Like they weren't really doing anything remotely bad. It's just kind of like not like nothing. It wasn't a part of black culture. It was just a thing, and we were just like, girl, what are you? We don't care. Like and at some point, like y'all have to. Okay. Anyways, then you got the ones who like to preach eugenics and like to like preach things that people who committed genocide used to preach. They'd be like, my brothers and my sisters, we are the superior race. We run faster, we jump faster, we make better music, we do this, we do that. We are genetically better. Our hair can withstand the sun. We breathe. Like, stop. Like, Taylor said the same thing, y'all. I promise y'all are preaching something that is extremely harmful. And if you truly are like this kind of activist or advocate, or you want to make the world better, then you wouldn't be preaching for or calling to get rid of a specific race. I'm sorry, but you're a bad person. You're a bad person. And just because you are preaching for an oppressed group does not mean that you aren't a bad person. You know what I'm saying? Like, sure, like, we're oppressed and, you know, but that doesn't mean you need to go around and say that white people should die. Like, I've heard people say that before, and I hate to be crude, but like that, I've heard, like, you can't do that. You can't. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, at the end of the day, my point is that if you ever decide to be an activist or even just a social judge on Twitter or any platform, then you need to do your research if you want to make a difference with people. You can't just read one book and listen to one person and think that you are so aware and so educated and so smart, because you're wrong. In fact, you are closed-minded. That makes you uneducated. That makes you that you're moving backwards. You're not even having your own thoughts. You're going off the opinion of one person or a group of people that you think are intelligent. You know what I'm saying? You have to have diverse opinions. You have to have enough range to accept when you are wrong or listen to someone else. If you can't do that, then sorry, I'm so sorry, you're not woke. You know what I'm saying? Like, the least you can do is learn more about history. You know what I'm saying? Learn more about politics, science. Don't just listen to anybody and their grandmother on Reddit or WhatsApp. You got to stop this. Don't get off one place, y'all. Because if you do that, then you're just going to be just as bad as your oppressors or your ancestors, if you know what I mean. Because I'm not only preaching the fake wokeness for the black community or white people. I'm talking about white supremacists too. Y'all are fake woke too. Y'all be like, this goes for you people too. But like, y'all are the same, not the oppressors. I mean, your ancestors. You know what I'm saying? Like, just stop it. Y'all are horrible. Like, y'all need to read a book, talk to people. Learn more about yourself and others. Learn more about your culture. Stop overstepping into other folks' cultures. And just because you learn a thing or two, just because you learn in your cosmetology class how to do box braids, does not mean you can police when someone can or cannot wear box braids. That's not how that works, because it's not your culture. That there's a thin appreciation, appropriation, and know that that line is extremely thin, and know when you're out of place and you step into somebody else's porch. Because we all know what happens when you step on a stranger's porch in Texas. That's all I gotta say, Kaya. What do you think?
Whew, okay, so I completely agree with you. Like I said at the beginning, like, the idea of wokeness is not a bad thing. But when I tell you I hate people who are too woke, and they don't even be on that next level of awareness, they just be wanting to sound smart, and it's like, you're not, and that's okay. That's okay that you're not on that level of awareness. Like, people, they'll do whole think pieces on things that don't even need to be think pieces. I saw somebody do a whole think piece on why Rapunzel's short hair matters in the animation. I promise you, it's not that deep, and you don't sound deep or smart. You sound like you have absolutely too much time on your hands. Then there are those that defend a certain rapper when he goes through his mental breakdowns. It's like, you don't sound deep or like you get it. You sound like a manic butthole too. Like, you don't sound deep. And then this can be detrimental, like you said, to black people, especially black women, when those fake hoe tips get on their soapbox. Especially all that, y'all are sheep, don't follow the herd, we need to go back to Africa, pro-blackness is keeping us pure and keeping out the irregulars, basically white supremacy and hierarchy, but make it black. Like, you don't sound smart, you sound like your oppressor. And I hate to break it to you, but you are a sheep too. Like, if you succumb to American capitalism, or just capitalism in general, you are a part of the herd. Also, I know these people will go to Africa, countries in Africa, to like be a part of the culture, but if you don't have direct African descent in your blood, like anywhere through your bloodline, your culture is Black American culture, not African culture. And that's okay. That's okay. But, you know, it's almost like I don't want to say colonizing, but you're going over there to be a part of a culture that you have no business being a part of, because it's not your culture, and you're expecting them to educate you. Like, I don't want to say colonizing, but y'all come to the conclusions, because like, just like how we are not the educators for people when they want to get all, Africans shouldn't be our, you know, like, it's one thing to want to learn about the different cultures in Africa, but like, to go over there and be like, I'm a part of y'all, teach me something. Just because we're all Black does not, it's not a monolith. It's not a monolith. And so it's like, it's weird. But anyway, kinda off race, kinda. You remember that appreciation post that one dude did for his wife or fiance or whatever, where he was like, I'm not gonna call her the prettiest or the smartest or yada yada yada, because perfection doesn't exist. Like, you didn't have to say all of that in a public post just to say, you know, she's perfect for you. Like, you don't sound intelligent. You sound awful. Like, I really hate people who try to sound smarter than they are. Like, it's okay to know your level of intelligence. It's okay to want to grow from that level. Like you said, just do the work. Do the work, and don't like one source and be like, oh yeah, that's my whole personality. It's what, like, there are a plethora of critical race theory books by a plethora of critical race theorists, right? Go read their books. You can even get your sources from the web, you know, edu.gov, things that are credible. Multiple sources. When you write a paper, you don't just get one source and then be like, this is my source for the entire, unless it's like a book or something, or a specific, like, you need to have multiple sources, credible sources. Otherwise, you know, it's you're not that woke. You just want to sound woke, and it shows. So, like, it's okay to want to grow from that level. Just do the work. But what's not okay is to sit here and berate or patronize people and trying to flaunt your intelligence, that intelligence that you don't have. Or to sit here and try to make people feel guilty for following the herd, when what they're really trying to do is survive in a world that most times doesn't want them to succeed. So that's you're not woke. You're just but that's my thoughts. I'm off my soapbox now.
Okay, well, let's get into our next segment, tropes that we wish would die. All right, where we review a trope in media that we wish would just go away. Today we're talking about dreaded older guy, younger woman trope, specifically when in the book the dad's older friend will get with the younger brother legal daughter, or the brother's way older friend will get with the younger blood legal sister. How do you feel about this trope?
So I really hate this trope. Like, it's so gross to me. Take the dad's friend falling but for the younger but legal daughter. One, that man is old enough to be your daddy. Two, theoretically, if he's been the dad's friend for as long as the daughter's been born, he's watched her grow up from child to adult. Like, that's practically like father, stepfather, not stepfather, but like surrogate father, uncle type thing. There should be no attractions there. Like, how do you have sexual desires for somebody you watch grow up like that from a uncle or a surrogate father perspective? And that's the perspective that you should have, because you should not see your friend's daughter who was way younger than you. I'm talking she's 20 something and you're 50 something, 60 something as like sexual. Like, you watched her grow up. That's disgusting. Flip it to the brother who is way older. I'm not talking a year or two. I'm talking like 6 to 8 years older. And his friend falling for the younger but legal sister. Now again, theoretically, if the friend has been a friend to the brother for as long as the sister has been born, that should be like, she's my surrogate sister. Like, there should be no it's not like the father trope because it's more manageable, I suppose, but also it's still weird to me because like you should have no romantic feelings for that. All of a sudden that's romance. It's weird. And what they'll try to do is play it off like forbidden love, but it doesn't come off as forbidden love. It comes off as creepy and weird. So much like the step-sibling romance trope, whoever writes, reads, and advocates for this trope needs to be on some kind of FBI list. And again, much like the step-sibling romance trope, this trope itself needs to be stabbed to death, hit by a bus, electrocuted in a thunderstorm, and thrown into the ocean for the sharks to feed off its carcass. But that's just me. How do you feel about it, Brie?
Well, I'm not gonna lie, y'all. This trope had a tight grip on me in middle school and high school.
Say it ain't so.
I used to love it. I'm so sorry. I thought it was interesting. However, now that I'm an adult and I can put myself in an adult's shoes, it's extremely weird. Like, you know, back then, like, I was on the other side of it. Like, but now that I'm on the other side, I'm like, who wrote this? You know what I'm saying? And I myself couldn't imagine writing about somebody in such a way who was significantly younger than me. I also just couldn't imagine being with someone that was like 3 times younger than me. I would feel weird. I would feel like I'm taking advantage of something. I just wouldn't feel good. You know what I'm saying? That's not like, and like you said, why would you want to be with somebody that you watched grow up? Like, kind of weird. I don't know, kind of weird. You kind of need to just think, sit back and think. It's just weird to write something like this. It's not, how do I say this? Like, just because like it's like gasp,
scandalous.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when we gasp, I want to gasp at like Lady Gaga in her meat dress. I don't want to gasp at this. This is not the art I want to gasp at.
Well,
and like, if you're gonna write something like this, it better be really good, and it should have like a handle that's like, no one understands us. Like, it shouldn't be that. It should be like, I want to see a lightning bolt strike a tower and everything falls down and there's a flood, like send the flood. Like, I want there to be tears, snot flying. Like, I want it to end horribly. Like, put somebody in jail. Like, that's what I want. Put them in prison. Okay. I want the worst ending possible, because you can't allow people, because let me make this very clear, only weirdos and kids are reading books like this. You know what I'm saying? And so like there's you know, how can I explain this? Like nobody's enjoying this. And so I also agree with you, Kaya, that this trope needs to be stabbed to death. Send a flood. Not literally.
Send a flood.
The way the weather been acting lately. Anyways, Kaya, yeah.
Well, let's move into our childhood review. Is it still good segment? And today we're talking about the 2004 film Catwoman. This stars Halle Berry as Patience Phillips, a shy art designer for a big-time beauty company. She pretty much stays to herself. She has one friend who works with her, and she's pretty ordinary. But that all takes a turn when she sees something that she's not supposed to late at night at the beauty company. Apparently, the beauty cream the company is selling makes the user's face deteriorate if they stop using it. So to get away from the bad guys who saw her and trying to kill her, she runs into the building's pipes and is flushed to her death when she is flushed out into a lake, feet down. She gets a second chance when a cat, Moonlight, gives her the powers and abilities of a cat, thus turning her into a Catwoman. She then begins her hunt for who killed her. Brie, what are your thoughts on this film?
Loved it. Okay, Halle Berry did her freaking thing in this Catwoman film. I don't think there'll ever be one to compare to it. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. But moving on to the actual review, and not just me talking about how much I love Halle Berry. The opening scene is really interesting, and it invokes a question for me when I first saw it, which is because, you know, Patience makes a remark, you know, about how before she died, she's an unremarkable woman living an unremarkable life. And it invokes the question for me, what makes a woman's life remarkable? What makes anybody's life remarkable? And hopefully, I was hoping for the answer to be the answer to be given in the movie, and it was given. I'll get into that later. Off rip, the relationship between George and his wife, don't know her name, we're gonna call her Bailey, sets the tone for the movie, at least for like what is going to be dry for patience.
Oh, you know what? I think it's Christine. Is that her name? Christy? I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Not the mistress? I don't know.
Sorry. Continue.
That's Bailey. Anyways, he has a huge ego. He's rich. He has all this power, and he's very disrespectful to women. Ironically, very disrespectful to his wife, and he thinks he's better. And he's under the impression that women age like milk, but only a certain demographic of women age like milk. Anyways, which of course would intimidate the main character, Patience. Her character, she starts out very soft-spoken, and she's like the kind of girl, like if you tell her like, hey, shut up, she gonna shut up and apologize and walk away, and she's still gonna be your friend, and she's not gonna be offended at all. She's just gonna be like, hey, y'all's wrong. That's Patience. She's a pushover. She does not stand up for herself. However, in the scene when the cat climbs out on the ledge, she shows that she has the capability to be brave, just not for herself. She can, like, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, she'll stand up for someone else, or she'll take over somebody else, but like she won't do that for herself, which I think is interesting, because at the beginning the cat is kind of like coaxing her like onto the ledge and kind of like talking to her and trying to convince her like, hey girl, step outside, you know what I'm saying, like step outside until my office is on this ledge that may die. And we learn later on in the movie that by Ophelia that Midnight is this cat who is a messenger of Bast. And Bast, of course, is an Egyptian goddess of the sun and moon and fertility and a whole bunch of other stuff. And, she's kind of like the goddess for women and stuff like that. And so the sun and the moon is supposed to reflect the versatility of women, how we can be dark like a man, but still soft and nurturing like the sun and stuff like that. And, I think that's interesting because I feel like that fits Patience so well. And the cat was trying to see, like, can she be a risk taker? Like, I see the sun, but I don't see the moon yet. Mm-hmm. And so Midnight was looking for the moon in Patience, and he found it. And I thought that was really interesting. I love that part. I'm sorry. I love that test. How that test, like, it just clicked so well together. Like, as a kid, I didn't see how good the writing was in this movie. Like, well, I don't want to say the writing is top tier, but I do think it has a lot of themes and twists in it that kind of make you, like, kind of reel you in. I do like how the movie kind of emphasizes that it's okay for women to love both sides of yourself. It definitely shows that it's supposed to be a women empowerment movie, which I like a lot, because a lot of women empowerment movies aren't that good. Like, sometimes, like, for example, like Princess and Diaries wasn't a women empowerment movie, but it was just like it wants you to be all soft, and it wasn't.
Okay, I thought you said it was. I was like, what's that?
It wanted you to be all soft and dainty and feminine and stuff like that, but in here it's kind of like embrace both sides of yourself. Like, half of Patience is a little slouchy and kind of sloppy and clumsy, but the other side is like really agile and fierce, and she stands up for herself, and she's beautiful. Like, you can be both. You don't have to be just one side, and I like that. Real quick, I want to talk about something real quick. The way they tried to kill Patience was absolutely sinister. They flushed her. Gaia, they flushed her. They said send the
You know what's funny? When I was younger, I used to think that the fall killed her and not the actual flush. But now that I'm older, I'm just like, that much water hitting you head on and then
she
you
died
falling?
Immediately.
Yeah, she's dead. She was dead before she hit the water.
Yeah, I thought the fall killed her too. I was just like, huh? That's a crazy way to go. That's a crazy way to go. And a part of the women empowerment thing, it was really confusing. Like, the women empowerment part kind of got taken away when Bailey, George's wife, was still trying to sell this makeup that kind of like makes women sick to other women. It's like, I feel like she could have been this character who wanted to kill her husband and want him dead for good. And
it also could be like, this is like, so Patience is supposed to be like this empowerment thing where you can embrace both sides. But Bulene is supposed to be like, oh, I'm just over that, I'm just out for the money, and how it doesn't always, work out. I guess he kind of made her bitter, but also at the same time, she's just crazy and doesn't care anyway. She's just money hungry. And so I get what you're saying about like taking away from like empowerment, but also there's a side to that. I can't really describe it, but there's a side to that I see.
I have it in my notes, and like I thought that at first, but like she was the power that men have, that her husband has, and stuff like that. So she was trying to be like what I said, like the fake woke, try to be like assimilate into what the oppressor does. That's what she was doing, and she saw that as women empowerment. I think that's what that was for her. She saw that like, oh, I'm gonna be a super woman lady, and I'm gonna be just like a man. Like that's kind of what she was doing. But like you shouldn't do that. I have a question. Did she get superpowers from that makeup? Like her husband went to hit her, he kind of just like, huh?
Like, she explains it. So if you stop using it, it deteriorates your face. But like if you keep using it, your skin's gonna be like as strong as marble, like impenetrable.
I don't know how I feel about that. That kind of seemed a little stupid to me. Because I don't understand how he wasn't able to hit her. Like, it's one thing for it to be as strong as marble, but he didn't even touch the girl. Like, it would have been funny, though, if he slapped her and his hand broke.
Like in the cartoon, how they shatter.
That would have been a gag, okay? That would have been good, okay? And then the part after she Patience was flushed, the part where she gets her powers is so weird. Is it not weird? Like the cat climbs on her chest and like breathes in her face and she wakes up as a cat. Was that not weird seeing a whole bunch of house cats crowding around a
I don't know.
body?
I mean,
that's every cat.
Here's the thing. Since Ophelia is like the crazy Catwoman, I took it to mean that all those cats were her cats. And since Midnight is also her cat, he called them. Now, how they got there so fast, that's the question. But maybe they were already waiting. Because like how Midnight was testing her on that bridge, maybe they were all there waiting for her. And I don't know.
Ophelia says that Midnight knew her fate, and that's why he tested her to see if he should give her powers to bring her back. So Midnight knew, but that still doesn't take away how off-put I was by seeing a dead lady surrounded by a whole bunch of house cats. I was like, wait a second, this is weird. I'm like, this is a kid. This part, like, this is what I was like. Okay, anyways, there was a whole lot of stuff that left like question marks around my head, that kind of formed in my head towards the end of the movie while I was wrapping itself up. Was after she gets her power, she kind of starts doing some outrageous things, like scarfing down sushi, or
because I guess
like
fish
rubbing
a
ball of
like fish.
catnip on her face. I'm like, it's one thing to get them powers, but you don't see Spider-Man crawling around New York and making giant webs between the building. Like, y'all, this is a little too much. Y'all gotta need to dial it back a little bit. Like, I understand.
They had to make it clear.
But I don't even think cats drink milk. They ain't had to make it that clear. I was like, it's kind of weird. It's getting a little weird. And I'm not a law major by any means, but how did she get off? Like, I know she's Catwoman and she just escaped, but like they never were able to like prove that Violene never killed anyone or killed anyone, or that she did. It's just
my only assumption there is that you go off of Tom, who is the cop, his word, and also the fact that she did shoot him. So attempted murder, I don't know. Enough dependent on, I don't know.
But all the evidence collected. Anyways, I'm gonna give the movie a 9 out of 10, and this is not a biased review. Last review I gave was extremely biased. I was like, I guess I'll give y'all an extra review this episode. And a lot of beautiful themes. There was a lot of good cinematography, good camera work. I like it a lot. I think it's a solid movie. I'll watch it again and again and again, not because I liked it as a kid, but because it's just a good movie. I could talk about this movie for a lot longer, to be honest. I have a lot of notes, and I could have had even more, Kaya, because I wrote the notes as I watched, so I have like. Anyways, Kaya, what do you think of Catwoman?
So, this film is campy, but I love it. It's not supposed to be it's not supposed to be like comic accurate, and I think that's what a lot of people are like stuck on. But like outside of the name, it's a completely different film, and that's okay. I mean, her name isn't even Selena Kyle, who is like Catwoman. It's Patience Phillips, which is an alliterative name that comics use. They do that a lot. Peter Parker, Bruce Banner, Pepper Potts, Lex Luthor, Beast Boy, Lois Lane, Lana Lang. So like, it's something that comics do a lot. So props for that. But the film is not that bad, and it certainly didn't deserve a Razzie Award. But props to Barry for actually accepting it. So the main criticism that I've seen are it's bad writing, bad acting, bad storytelling, and it's just campy. Here's the thing. I'm not saying that this film is top tier, but like bad writing and storytelling. Why? Because it's not comic accurate.
Yeah, and it's still good.
Right. And like, if you think about it, a lot of early 2000s superhero films were campy and like had wonky writing. They weren't meant to be taken that seriously, right? And they didn't have a vision like comic book movies do now. And this isn't like a comic film. This is a reimagining of Catwoman. This is not comic Catwoman. This is a reimagining of it. Bad acting. A lot of those 2000 superhero films had stiff acting a little bit because it's. I assume that it's kind of, weird and embarrassing given off the stuff that I do in theater and how I have to warm up for theater. That stuff is uncomfortable and embarrassing. So given that, the things you have to do to prepare or do this kind of stuff on camera, of course it's going to be a little wonky and stiff. Get over it. The only genuine criticism I'll accept is that weird basketball scene, both the camera shooting, because the camera shooting was weird on that. There was a lot of great camera shots, especially when they have her like walking around, crawling around, and moving like a cat, kind of like how they do with Peter Parker and the Amazing Spider-Man. Like, that's cool. So I get that. But like, here in this basketball scene, it was weird. Like, it was all over the place, and it really kind of made me dizzy. And then there's the sexual nature of the basketball scene. So in the basketball scene, she and Tom Lone, who is the cop, who is her like love interest, are playing a game of basketball in front of an elementary school in front of a bunch of elementary students. And he gets really sexual, and it's like she's like switching and swaying her butt. He's lifting up his shirt, and like they're jumping all on each other and stuff. And at the end of the whole thing, the whole basketball scene, there's a kid that's like, "Yo, can we have our ball back?"
The kids were like, I wanted to watch y'all play ball at first, but now I'm kind of like, just give me my stuff back.
Right.
That's kind of what it felt like.
So like that's the only like genuine criticism that I will accept.
And it felt like it wasn't needed. I'm sorry to cut you off.
It did feel like it was not needed. Like the whole purpose for him being at the school is because he was talking to the students like how we used to get those kind of talking to elementary. She went there to apologize for standing him up. And then some kid challenged them to a one-on-one between each other. That didn't need to happen though. Like
it didn't even make sense. Why wouldn't a kid want to play?
What? It didn't make sense. Other than that, so another issue, I just think it's weird that the plot is for her to stop the distribution of a toxic skin cream. Again, if you think about it, a lot of early 2000s superhero and action films had less of a plot and still didn't get like 8% on Rotten Tomatoes like this did. Like, they're not meant to be taken seriously. They're just, at the time, people were just making films to be making them. And again, this is a reimagining, so it's really not so out there. And again, I do like the way she moved as a cat. The soundtrack I liked a lot. Like, I like the soundtrack. You pointed out a lot of good spots throughout the movie, so I won't go back over that. I agree with all that you've said. It's still good to me, so I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. It is still a good film. It certainly didn't deserve a Razzie. Y'all were tripping. This is a good film.
I don't know what a Razzie is. I'm not.
It's a Hollywood award for like really bad acting. So it's Oscars, but for bad acting, bad writing, bad films.
The only person who deserved that award for bad acting was the person who played George. That's all I'm gonna say. George was not well acted. That's just me being a little honest. He kind of deserved that award. Anyways, and with that, Halle Berry acted down though. Like that one scene when it started raining and she looked up and her face twitched and then she ran.
And her outfit slayed.
Oh, girl, let's not talk about that outfit. Let's move on because we can talk about the outfit. and with that, let's move to our last segment of the day, which is What's in the Headlines, where we rave and review about celebrity news and gossip. Today, we're talking about last week's air of Disney's She-Hulk that features She-Hulk and Megan Thee Stallion twerking in a post-credit scene. Harry Styles allegedly spitting on Chris Pine at the Don't Worry Darling premiere, and an upcoming iOS 16 release. Let's start with the uproar from film bros over She-Hulk. What are your thoughts?
I hate film bros. Like, I really hate film bros. They be talking about Stan Lee will be rolling over in his grave, and Marvel is so woke and they're pandering to women, and yada yada yada. Now, admittedly, I'm not well versed in comic universe just yet, but I do know some things, like Stripperella, an adult animation that featured a stripper superhero named Erotica Jones, who also had like a revealing costume. She was a stripper, created by Stan Lee. And not to mention all the female superheroes have like revealing outfits that are supposed to be for the male gaze. Like, now what? Chill out. Then there's all those like male dance scenes, Peter Parker in the 2000 Spider-Man, Zemos and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Deadpool in general. Where were y'all uproar then? No, it was funny and cool then. And from our research, She-Hulk twerking is on par with her character. Like, she's a comic character most times. Chill out and go touch some grass. Just admit that you're part of the He-Man Woman Hater Club and push on. Go touch some grass.
Not that serious. Truly not that serious.
That's just me, though. How do you feel about it?
Well, I'm gonna be honest though. Like, first found out that Meg was gonna be in She-Hulk was like under the impression that it was gonna be more than just a cameo. I thought she was gonna have like a real role in it. That's what I thought. That's perhaps my fault for thinking that, but I really wanted more from Meg. And that's not her fault. You know what I'm saying? She didn't make this script. She can only do what they wanted her to do. You know what I'm saying? But I really wanted her to get into her like acting bag and do her thing, but I don't think they gave her the opportunity here, which I guess is okay. But I'm still happy to see her doing, this gig. I want to see her act more because it seems like she didn't do a bad job in the cameo. Like, I did a good job. Granted, she was playing herself. She still had to read lines and stuff.
And not make them sound stiff.
I thought the cameo was fire. Like, yeah. And, why are y'all mad at She-Hulk twerking? Who cares? It's She-Hulk. The only thing I was upset at was the bad CGI. That's all that I cared about. If we're going to see She-Hulk twerking, can we at least get a budget here? Thank you. Give us a budget. Hello? Stop taking these fictional stories so serious, y'all. It's not that serious. She-Hulk literally twerking. It's literally a fictional green monster filled with gamma rays, which is scientifically impossible. And y'all are like, she's twerking. Like, stop, girl. Like, you're doing too much. You're doing too much.
Well, let's move into our next topic, which is Harry Styles supposedly spitting on Chris Pine at the premiere of Don't Worry Darling. The majority of the cast has been surrounded in rumors of infighting, and tensions appear to be a little high at the premiere. In the video in question, there is a video. Styles is making his way to his seat beside Pine. He turns his head and appears to lean over, and then Pine, who is applauding, looks down and begins awkwardly laughing. Now, representatives for Pine have said that Styles did not spit on him. Styles will later make a joke about it also, furthermore putting to rest any allegation rumors. But Bree, what are your thoughts on it? Did he spit? Does he look like he spit on him to you? How do you feel about it?
Well, I had a lot of things on my 2022 bingo card, but Harry Styles spitting on somebody was not on my bingo card. It's safe to say I did not get a bingo on this year. That it wasn't on there. I didn't expect it to be a conspiracy that he even like. It doesn't even seem like Harry Styles the kind of dude who will even spit on somebody. Like he doesn't even look like the kind of guy who will argue. You know what I'm saying? Like he don't look soft spoken, but he definitely doesn't look confrontational. Like it was funny though. It was a nice way to end my day. I feel like I saw clips of Harry Styles spitting on Chris Pines and people. I laughed hard. Okay, people were slowing it down, speeding it up, adding soundtracks to it, and putting music on it. I'm just like, y'all have a little bit too much fun.
Too much time.
I don't think he spit on Chris Pines. I'm sorry. Like if he gonna spit on Chris Pines, I think he would do that in private, and I think that it would be like, if he spit on somebody, you're not just gonna be like, you gonna be like, and you just really
want in your throat.
You want to get it on them, because if I'm spitting on somebody, I want you to feel it. Like I'm not gonna sprinkle spit on you. Hello, like he didn't spit on Chris Pines, okay, y'all. Like be for real, he didn't spit on nobody, but. And all this beef this beef is getting more screen time than the movie. Can we talk about that? Like I ain't seen the movie, I ain't seen that nan clip, and then it got a bad score around Tomatoes. Like, well, the movie ain't that good. The drama is getting more notoriety than the movie. Like, it's a shame, girl, real shame.
Look, for me, I don't know. It kind of looked like he Styles spit on Pine. Pine. Listen, look. Pine stopped applauding. He looked down. He shook his head with a kind of a wow laugh.
I agree. Yeah.
But on the other hand, like that's just my perspective, and that doesn't make it true. Like they both denied it, and they're moving on. They're actors, so I guess they have to kind of like keep it professional anyway. But I don't know, if you spit on me at the world premiere of our movie, I don't know if I could keep my composure, especially not with all the viruses going around. So with that in mind, maybe he didn't spit on Pine, because like I can't see anybody staying calm. Like, but again, that's just my perspective. So I don't know. We'll never know.
We'll never know. Well, let's move on to our last topic, which is Apple set its release to iOS 16 next. Y'all, our phone's about to start glitching. With this update, one can edit sent messages to a degree, pull text messages from videos and phones, customize how notification will look, and more. Kaya, how do you feel about this change to our phones?
Cool. Look, on one hand, it's like, hey, that's cool. I'll be able to do a bit more without having to buy a new phone, right? But on the other hand, it's like that pushes me that much closer to having to buy a new phone, because system updates take up storage too. And so it's like, buy more storage, buy a new phone, or delete apps and photos. And it's like, I've already deleted all the apps and photos that I can, and uploaded photos that I can. Everything on my phone I need now. I can't do it anymore. And so it's like, I don't know if you're pushing me that step closer, and I'm just about to pay off my phone too, and so it's like I don't know. Cool. I guess it's a win-lose kind of situation for me, but that's just me. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I've been wanting to update my phone for a little minute now. I've only had it for a year. I got the iPhone 12 mini. It's just small, girl. It's real small, and I'm kind of fed up with this phone. So I don't really mind the update, because I was going to upgrade at some point anyway, so I'm happy it saved me some money from being the 13, because the 14 is coming soon. So I don't mind the update. However, I think that we don't need it. I think it's one that we can live without. It's mostly because it's not like they're visually changing anything, or they're completely moving things around. Like it's not like a necessary update to me, unless it's so they're upping the security. I think they are just a little bit. Most of it seems stuff like we won't really need until we need it. For example, they have this new feature where the phone is able to detect if you get into a serious crash, and it'll call the police for you, which I think is extremely helpful, because a lot of folks don't know how to drive. And I'm just it's very helpful, and it's cool, and I'm a little happy about that update. I can't lie.
Well, with that, that's what's in the headlines, and that's our show. Thanks for listening and watching. If you like our content, be sure to like our content. Definitely leave a comment down below. Tell us what you think on any of our segments. That helps a lot. You know what else helps a lot? Bree, what helps a lot? Sharing! Share. Please share with all of your friends and family. That helps us a big amount. Leave the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, do all of that stuff because you know you want to see some more of us.
You know you want to know when we arrive.
You know you want to.
You know you want to. Run it up.
With that, we'll see you next time.
Bye. Deuces. Out.